Hey friends, it's Marquise Martin Hayes, and it's time for Thriving Thursdays. I am back on the streets of Chicago, and it feels good. The only place in the country where I love to be back on the streets on, other than Chicago, is Santa Monica, one of my favorite places. Anyway, long story short, real quick, today I want to jump in. I wanted to share with you, when you talk about thriving, there's only one way to do it. You simply do not quit. It's non-negotiable. It's not an option. Because if you quit, you stop thriving. You cease to give yourself the opportunity to make it happen. And I know that especially during difficult challenges as they occur, failures, I know all about them. At least from my experience, I'm sure you have some that'll top mine. But the one thing that allows us to thrive is just the willingness to stay in the game. Damon John posted on Twitter this morning. He said, what's one thing you've learned from your failures? And what I initially wanted to put was that something like, on to the next one, or so forth and so on. But what I realized through my failures is who I am. Next. So when thinking about thriving, the only way to make it happen is to stay in the game. We used to talk about marriages from back in the day, how they last 50 years and things. And a lot of times when I'd ask people, what was your secret to success? They would say, we just simply didn't quit. Divorce wasn't an option. When you think about your life and the goals that you have to thrive, the only thing that can't be an option is quitting. You just don't quit. It's straightforward. It might not make sense. It might not be clear, but you don't. I know. That sounds crazy to some, and on others that sounds like way too simple. But here's the deal, guys. It's like what I talked about a little bit on Monday in the Monday Moment. What's up, Victor? Good to see you. Seeing what you saw, what you believe you're up to, what you're in. There are so many inventions that came about by accident, or that came about because somebody simply didn't give up. How bad do you really want it? How true is it really for you? Is it worth dying still trying to figure out how to get it done? Or is it more important to be comfortable along the way? I don't have your answer. But all I can tell you is that in order to thrive, you've got to have an unwillingness to not let go. Over the last month and a half, 2 months, we've been doing the show, I've had several people on, and the main common thing that they talked about, they didn't spend much time talking about not quitting. They spent a lot of time talking about giving. But if you listen closely, they talked about giving in times when they had to figure out things that didn't make sense to them. They positioned themselves so that quitting, which wasn't an option, was doable. Not quitting was doable because they positioned themselves to win through giving. So when they got stuck, or when they found themselves in a tight spot, they started to give more. They started to connect more so that they would take off the edge of the pain, of the frustration when you want to quit. Believe me, I get it. There are days, I told you before, I look in the mirror, I'm like, what are you doing? But because I know what I'm looking for, hey Kim, good to see you, darling. Because I know what I'm looking for, there is an unwillingness that I can rely on that propels me forward. If you're not clear about your vision, it's going to be really difficult. Because the days that will come that look contrary, that look exactly the opposite to what you say you wanted, you might be facing them now. You might be in the greatest challenge of your life right now. But have you ever read the story 3 Feet from Gold? Right? So there are so many examples of that. And I just believe with everything in me, if you quit, it's a tragedy. Because we lose as well. We don't get the best version of you. We don't get to see you operating in your optimum space, which then gives us permission, gives us opportunity, gives us the space we need to bloom, grow, or expand through your expression of life. I know it's easy to talk about thriving when you're on top, Well, I'm not on top. I'm working it out. I'm working it out day by day, week by week. I'm working it out. And all I can tell you is this: the more I stay committed, even when it's super, super dark and challenging, the more I stay committed, the more I develop the character necessary for winning. The more I develop the character necessary for thriving. No one said it will be easy. Okay. I was reading a quote in Cashflow, hashtag Cashflow on Instagram. Check it out. It's pretty cool. They share a lot of different memes and ideas and thoughts for encouragement for the entrepreneur. And one of the things they say is, people think you're crazy for working for yourself as an entrepreneur, going 10 years hard, hoping that you make it, but they'd rather go 30 to 40 years and still end up broke. Here's the deal. I have no problem with anyone doing 30 to 40 years. I don't. I have no problem with you whatsoever. I just know that the plan that I'm on is definitely offering me the opportunity for the lifestyle and the impact that I want to have. So I've just chosen a different path. But maybe this is your relationship you're talking about. Maybe this is your children you're talking about. I don't know. But when we talk about thriving, it requires something of you that you're probably unaware you're going to really have to give to make it happen. Believe me, I often want to walk away and do something different sometimes when I think about it from an emotional perspective. When I'm looking at it from my vision and who I am and what I believe I'm up to, it's a very different conversation. I'm engaged regardless of what it looks like. I'm in the city, so we got the background noise. I apologize. But it is imperative that while you're figuring out how to thrive, that you find ways to win. You find ways to encourage yourself. I shared it on Monday. What book are you reading? Think and Grow Rich? What? Are you reading How to Dream Big? I don't know. Are you reading Napoleon Hill? Are you writing your own script? Are you writing your own book? I don't know. But you should be engaged in something that, as I call it, nurturing my spirit. Because your spirit is the thing you've got to hold on to. That's the only thing that's going to help you not fold. So you've got to nurture it. You've got to spend that time in meditation. Whatever YouTube video you want to watch, it doesn't matter to me. But what are you doing to make sure that you don't quit? Only time a car stops is when it's out of gas. Of course, unless it's broken down. The point is, you've got to make sure you're getting the nutrients and the fuel necessary to ensure your victory, to ensure your vision, so that you can go out to the next seminar that's going to help you, so that you can go get the mentorship that's going to help you, so that you can persevere through the next failure. I remember learning in one of the trainings that I went through, when we talked about failure, they made it really clear that as a human, you actually don't fail. It's impossible for you to fail because you exist. A process might fail, a method might fail, but you as a human, you don't actually fail. And so being able to separate what didn't work from who you are as an individual might just be the key for you. Take a look. But know this, quitting doesn't become an option unless you bring it to the table. This is Marquise Martin Hayes. I want to see you thrive. Have a fantastic Thursday.